All right. For next example, we're trying to convert this polar equation into rectangular form. So there's a couple things that we need to recognize. When we're trying to convert from polar equation, rectangular equations, we need to understand what we're trying to eliminate. So a rectangular equation is basically like an equation in terms of x's and y's. Whereas a polar equation, like here's a polar point, x, y. A polar point is in terms of like r and theta, right? So if we have an equation that's in terms of theta, we want to write that equation in terms of x's and y's. So we got to think of like our conversions, like how is everything, how does everything convert over? Well, x equals r times sine of theta. That's cosine of theta. Let's take that back and pretend I never wrote it down. See, you probably tried to screenshot if you didn't have to screenshot, see, I caught my mistake early. You didn't think about it, but next time you'll see, but it's okay because you'll be like, Mr. McLogan, he makes mistakes all the time. At least my students already know that. Like, hey, you did that wrong. I'm like, oh yeah, that's definitely incorrect or doesn't make any sense. So let's make sure we correct that now. And sometimes, when you're talking and doing, that's of course going to happen. You're thinking one thing and then you write down something else. It's kind of weird how it happens that way. So we have x equals r cosine of theta, y equals r sine of theta. I'm not going to, again, go into the explanation of all these, but I just want you to kind of see tangent of theta is y over x, and x squared plus y squared equals r squared. So these are all the ways that we can convert between our polar and our rectangular equations. So what I recognize here is if I want to what am I trying to do? Oh, if I want to go ahead and get this into this form, if I multiply by cosine on both sides, let's just write it down here. So I'll have secant of theta equals 2. So I'll multiply by the cosine of theta times the cosine of theta. Cosine of theta times secant of theta equals 1 times, then I have 2. Then I have 2 times the cosine of theta.